Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Leanne Brittle and I am Miss North Dakota International 2020. And today we are going to be talking about learning disabilities. Learning disabilities affect 1 in 5 people and I am a part of that statistic. And today I'm going to be talking about my journey with the diagnosis and how it got there. So my journey, I've always kind of had learning disabilities. I just didn't know it yet. And I kind of didn't start getting pointed out to me until I was around 7th grade. We were at a parent-teacher conference and my math teacher was talking to my parents and they were like, hey, we noticed that she's doing really well, but she's kind of getting some things confused. Like she's getting the right answers, but she's writing them in the wrong order. So then that kind of sparked the conversation. And so after that, years went by. I was now a freshman in high school. And the schooling, was trying to help me because I was struggling with school because I kind of felt defeated and it was affecting my self-esteem because since I didn't know yet that I had a learning disability, I just kind of was really self-deprecating and I kept asking myself, like, why am I not as good as everybody? Why do I keep failing tests? Why can't I spell as good? Why can't I read as well? And just basically overall think I'm not as intelligent as everybody else. And that affected how I saw myself. And so my parents were like, okay, we need to fix this. And they reached out to this brain doctor and I got an appointment put in so I can get evaluated. And so I went in one day and I just did a bunch of testing. And what they did for testing is that I read some things, they read me some things, I did a memory test and stuff like that. And it was in that moment where I kind of realized some things. Like, for example, I love saying this, is I was reading them a story and then they asked me questions about it. And they're like, oh, tell me about this character. Like, what color was this? What was that? And the examiner was like, what color was the boat? And I remember just being like, there was a boat? I just didn't remember it. And so at the end of it, we got our results. And it turns out that I have 3 different types of dyslexia. I have reading, writing, and numbers. I have comprehension issues, and I also have ADHD. And all of those kind of go hand in hand for me. If you have one, doesn't mean you have them all, but it is common to get more than one. So for my comprehension issues, the reason why I have that is because of my ADHD and my dyslexia. So then it was hard for me to A, focus, and for B, to understand what I'm reading. And so for me, that's how I learned that, it makes sense that I learn best by visually seeing it and doing it myself. That's how my strong point. But then with this information, I, took it to my school and explained to them, like, hey, I have dyslexia, all this jazz. I really would need some accommodations put in place so I can do my best that I can in schooling. And this was really important to me to do, and I really made sure that I was also a self-advocate because, I wanted to be the best I can be, and it took a while for me since my self-esteem was already low, but I eventually got there where I knew that I am just as intelligent as everybody else, and it's just that my brain works differently. So things just need to be communicated differently for me, and that's totally okay. And so what I got put in place is that for tests and quizzes, I would leave the classroom and I would go to this special room with these designated teachers and they would read my tests to me. And that was really nice because then for me, like I said, like I need to hear it rather than read it. And there were times where, I tried reading the question and then like she read it to me and I'm like, I did not interpret it that way at all. And I guarantee you it's probably saved my grades in more than one way. And then it also was really nice because of my ADHD, I got really distracted easily. And so then it would take longer for me to do tests. And that was another thing that my accommodations allowed, is that I had more time to take my tests, which was really nice. And when I was in that separate room, it was very minimalistic, very nice, very quiet, which was really good. And, and they kind of kept me on track. Those teachers were so nice and they really got to get to know you and what you needed. So then they were able to fulfill those needs. And I 100% owe my high school career to them because they were just amazing. And also with that, it was just nice because then I saw other kids that were getting the accommodations, and it was kind of nice because then we like non-verbally, you know, like talk to each other sometimes. We're like, okay, like you're here, so am I, cool, who cares, kind of a thing. And that was really nice. And that's where I kind of got that core feeling of like, I need to be vocal about this. You know, like I can't just sit here and, you know, be a hush secret why I'm leaving the room for tests or whatever reason. And so that's when I, you know, when people were curious, like, why do you leave the room or whatever? Or when I would raise my hand and ask the teacher if I can leave to take the test, a bunch of kids had questions, you know, people are curious. And I was very much like, okay with telling them, like, yeah, I go and get my tests read to me. And, you know, of course, there were always some people who thought that was weird, but then there were other people who just didn't care. They're like, okay, cool. And I even had some people be like, that is so awesome. Like, I wish I could get my test read to me. And it's just something that, yeah, it's just something that is. And I really made sure that I was really vocal about it and that I was really sharing my story and be like, yeah, I have this. I also have this and this. And because I knew that somewhere there had to be somebody going through the same thing I was going through, where they're dealing with either it's undiagnosed, just got diagnosed, or something that always known about and been dealing with. I didn't want them to feel alone, because for the longest time before I got diagnosed and before I accepted it and understood what my disabilities mean, I felt alone. I felt so trapped. I didn't think anybody else was going through what I was going through. I thought I was just below everybody. And that really also took a toll on my self-esteem, and no one should ever feel like that. I know what it's like to feel that you are just less than everybody, and that's not okay. So I really wanted to make sure that someone somewhere knew that they were not alone in this, because if I knew someone way back when I was first struggling with this, if I knew that someone else had this disability or someone else was struggling with these same things or something similar, that would have helped a ton. I would have been like, okay, I'm not the only one. So I really made sure to be that voice for someone else. And then also I was really, really open about when people asked me questions like, hey, tell me more about this. And I would explain it to them. And then I would educate them, you know, in hopes that they can bring that forward with the rest of their life. And if they, you know, run into someone else, be like, oh my gosh, I know someone, or my friend's sister, or whatever it may be, like they're able to like, hey, I heard about this. And that's something that's awesome. Like, education is never a bad thing. You can never be too educated about something. So yeah, that was just something that I've always dealt with, and it kind of helped carry it on to college, because then I knew what to ask for my professors and be like, hey, I have this. Is there anything we can do? And it was really nice because they did have a disabilities like program there. So then I was able to talk to an advisor on that and then know what I am able to ask for from a professor. And that was really nice, because then I was really scared in high school, like, oh my gosh, what is it going to be like in college? Like, college is completely different. And it was really nice because then I still got some accommodations put in place. I got this really cool like special notebook, and I got this really special pen where it was like magnetic or something. So then, and the pen recorded. So then every time I was writing my notes, and as long as it was, I hit the record button, it would record what the professor was saying. And it was really cool because then if I just went back to play a recording, if I just touched a certain part of my notes that I was writing it would be at that point of the recording. So that was really nice. So then I can go back and verbally hear, because yes, I take a bunch of notes and I color code them just so my brain is organized with what I'm looking at, so it doesn't just look like a bunch of scribbles to me with my dyslexia. It was really nice to hear it again and then over and over again, so I could really internalize it and really figure out what he's trying to say. And that has been a lifesaver. And I wouldn't have gotten that without talking to someone, you know, about my disabilities. So that's awesome. And that's why, you know, I make sure to talk about everybody about it. And then, you know, it was just a lifesaver, and it's really helped forward. And even just when I went for, you know, further education past, after high school, when I went to school for my skin esthetician license, I made sure to ask my instructor, like, hey, I have this, is there anything we can do? And they were totally willing to work on it. And that was one thing, that being a self-advocate for myself, because my parents really made sure that yes, they were advocating for me too, but then they knew that they can't be there always and that I would have to be there for myself. And so I was really comfortable just asking, like, hey, I have this. Is there anything you can do? And just letting them be aware of it. So then I'm not just there struggling by myself, because then that I would be my own worst enemy then. And everybody, seriously, anytime that I brought it up to any sort of instructor, professor, teacher, anything like that, or even just like colleagues and my bosses and managers, they're all super understanding. And so that's something that I really learned. Like, it's okay to ask, and it's okay, and you should tell somebody, like, hey, I struggle with this. Can you help me? And majority time, they will help you, and they will have something put in place. And if they don't, they will figure something out for you. And it's amazing. And I absolutely love that. I really appreciate it. And, and even when I was taking, my boards for my skin esthetician license, I asked, like, hey, I have this. Is there anything put in place? And I was able to get it read to me too. And that was amazing. And, but then, of course, there are some struggles. I'm not always able to get accommodations in day-to-day life, like when I'm reading instructions for how to build something or anything like that. I'm so grateful that I honestly live in like a world of technology, so I'm able to look things up and have like a video for it, which is super amazing and really nice. But then, it's just something that you just have to really be vocal about and be okay and accept. And because it's you, if you have a disability, without your disability, it's you. And that's something, like, when people ask about me, my disabilities always come up, because it's just a part of me. It's a huge part of me, and it's something that will never go away. No matter what happens in a month, in a year, or for the rest of my life, it's something I have. It's something I can't get rid of. And I'm so okay with that. I wouldn't be me then without it at this point, because I just take so much pride in it, and I know it's okay, and it's so common for people to have one. I mean, 1 in 5 is not a big number. So yeah, it's just really nice to know that you're not alone. But yeah, that was today's video. I just wanted to talk about my journey with my learning disabilities and my experiences with that. In the next video next week, I will be posting a video about my Guillain-Barré and that journey. That one will probably be a little bit of a longer video, because a lot happened with that over a long period of time, but I love talking about it. So if you have any questions about anything, please let me know. Go down in the comments or private message me. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Miss North Dakota International. But yeah, thank you so much. Don't forget to like and subscribe for the weekly videos of disabilities. Bye!